So, as another week concludes, it's going to be an exciting week because Powell's no longer in charge. He's no longer the center of attention. And plot twist, who would have thought oil production would be the thing that everyone's talking about? Because OPEC actually just increased production rather than cutting it when everyone was expecting. Because I guess drill, baby, drill applies to the whole world. So, we're going to be
Wow.
discussing the Fed. OPEC, the big beautiful bill, which not so beautiful once you really get into the nitty gritty of it. A long while. I can't wait for Powell to become basically a nothing burger because that would be absolutely fantastic.
He's
And
already there. Oh, he's already kind of there, my guy. Let's face it. He's already kind of there.
yeah,
So, yeah.
he is. And but I officially want Powell to basically be a lame duck, right? I want the title. Because right now he's still, even though Bessett said one of the best quotes. This nothing more transitory for inflation than tariffs, right? That quote's going to go down as the quote of the century, probably superseding the transitory narrative.
Yeah.
But we got oil production increases from OPEC, which was absolutely surprising. Natural question is, how long do you think before this thing hits $50 a barrel again? Because no longer have war in the Middle East. OPEC's
Well,
increasing
well,
production.
and
Or
that,
sorry,
that
they haven't bombed each other in the last 24 hours. I take that as a W.
okay, fair enough. Yep. Yep. And what was the other thing that you said?
When is it gonna hit 50? When are we breaking the lows? When is oil
Well,
gonna? I want my $2 gas.
well, I just want to see a two in front of my
You just want two. I
oh my
want
gosh.
two. See,
We saw
everyone
we
wants
saw
two.
over here we saw 299 for like 26 hours and that was
Yeah.
about it. But I don't know if they'll push it. Maybe the reason why they increased production was specifically to bring it back down to 60. Because what's it currently sitting at right now?
66. So it's sitting around
Right.
66.
So most likely the reason why they did that is to bring it back down to 60. But I highly doubt that they'll push it down to
Or plot
50. I
twist,
don't
is
think
it
that.
is it because you have Donald Trump basically say, like, what's driving Donald Trump to say drill baby drill is because oil prices are naturally high. So is it possible in their mind that they basically said, okay, we have to get oil down to a number that he likes, for lack of a better term.
Which was
And
60.
yeah, 60, 50, right? Whatever
Because
it is.
remember, $60 a barrel is where the U.S. shale companies break even.
Okay. So let's say
So
$60 a barrel for the sake of argument. So OPEC looked at it probably like this. Either we can produce the oil and get it down to 60 and make the money, or they can produce the oil and we make no money and then we're screwed 10 ways to
exactly,
Sunday. So they're
right,
like, it's
exactly.
not a thing of like they like the US, right? Like if OPEC could tomorrow make $100 a barrel, they would do it in a heartbeat if the option was the United States not producing oil like a crazy person. And he's also talked about the SPR, right? The SPR came up because it was like, are you gonna do what Biden did, right? Are you gonna go and pump oil out of the SPR? And he's like, no, we're gonna refill it when the time comes, aka he'll create a synthetic floor for oil, and everyone's taking that to be like you said 50, 60 is like the synthetic floor for oil right now. I'd be happy with that, right? It would
Yeah,
it cancels Mr. Powell's we're gonna have frickin' inflation from tariffs.
inflation from the war, inflation from all this stuff. Yeah, no, I fully agree, and I also fully agree that Saudi Arabia. See, and by the way, I say Saudi Arabia because I know OPEC is more than Saudi Arabia, but let's face it, it's Saudi Arabia.
It's it,
Right.
it's
It's just
South
like
Korea.
NATO is basically the United States,
Yeah.
right? So, but unlike the United States, Saudi Arabia is actually smart when it comes to supply, right? They don't want to outsource their bread and butter because they know they would much rather have reliance, like have them be reliant. No, not have them be reliant. Have others being reliant on them than them relying on other
They want
people.
control.
Whereas with us, we would much rather outsource everything, like vitamins and antibiotics.
And
No
food
one
and
cares about the
technology and,
stupid and
and
food,
semiconductors,
right?
which I
Right,
do
because we
want.
can't do that here. But
Yeah, I do want to talk about the trade deal agreement that was coined on what was it with Vietnam, right?
oh, I
Vietnam.
saw that. Yes,
Yeah.
I saw that.
I love how, and this is a personal note for me, and I was talking with a coworker of mine because he always keeps talking about how like the company wants to outsource certain model types. I'm not going to get into specifics because of it, but again, it's they want to outsource some of the production, and they're looking for different countries. And I was
Mhm.
laughing at him like, okay, so you're going to be an American-made company that's going to outsource to somewhere else during the current administration, and it gets
Yeah,
in the
that's
news, and you
not.
cut jobs like are you wanting to be public enemy number one? And
Yeah, especially already being the headquarters in a foreign country,
yeah,
right?
it's like you're already but anyway, the deal kind of literally came out 12 hours later. When we were having this conversation 12 hours later, I text him and I'm like, this framework basically eliminates every company from the world going to China, basically being like, hey, China, just produce it in Vietnam and send it to us. It follows lineage. For all those that don't know what that is, if a company, you're a Chinese, let's say you're a Chinese company and I'm a Taiwanese company or a Vietnam company, whatever. Let's say that you come to me and say, hey, you're going to produce this part for me, and then you're going to sell it to the vendor in America because I want to avoid the American Chinese tariffs of 55% plus Section 232 tariffs. US is like, nope, you're a Chinese company because your ownership, your production, the person that's building it is in China. The
Right.
order, the origination of the order, where the origination of the cash flow is coming from, is in China. So therefore,
Right.
they're like, no, 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 no. You're paying 55% tariffs.
Right.
And then probably
Now,
fees and other things trying to skirt the US.
now, when it comes to the Vietnam trade deal, I did see Donald Trump's post on X, which
Mm-hmm.
was just a picture of his Truth Social post.
Yeah.
Now, if I do remember correctly, we have access to their entire market, but they pay us a
Yeah,
tariff.
so we'll do it like this. Okay, I'm gonna be US, you're gonna be Vietnam. I have full
Well, it has to
access
be
to your
Vietnam.
market.
Uh huh.
Okay, you yeah. Okay, you in the next example, I'll be the mean country, you be the U.S.
Thank you. You're much
So
closer to
basically,
Vietnam than me, but
I told you I want full access to your market, so I got that.
mhm.
So win for me. You instead of paying a 96% tariff, or sorry, instead of paying the 46% tariff, you're going to pay me a 20% tariff for importing to cost to do business with me.
Right.
But because if you have Chinese companies in your country trying to skirt their tariffs of 55%, they're going to pay a 46% tariff to go. So they're only saving about 10% plus then we tack on some fees and let's say it's all the same. But that goes for any country that has ownership in Vietnam that's not origination, which is basically
Right.
80 freaking percent of the companies that produce in Vietnam are going to be paying
Right.
that because they have Chinese ownership, Russian ownership, European ownership, Indian ownership, whatever. But this is the framework. That's the really important thing is the framework for everything. Because we get access to their market for $0. We pay them nothing. And us
Mhm.
importing our goods to them, we pay 0% tariffs. And they have to buy X amount of stuff. So I believe they have to buy 50 Boeing planes over the next set period of years. Beef, we're going to be selling them beef. We're going to be selling them all these different things, right? There was a list. I don't remember exactly the list, but there's a certain amount of goods as promised as quotas that they will purchase from us,
Right.
and we'll pay a 0% tariff on it. On top of everything coming from them, they're going to pay 20% or 46% if it's outside of our origination country. But this is
I
the
would like to see a little bit more. I would actually like to hear because, like, what I read was just Trump's statement. I would
Mhm.
like to see the actual details of it. I don't think that has been hashed out just yet.
Yeah,
Uh,
I don't know. Would we get that, or it would probably come in the
we
coming weeks,
would,
right?
we
Because
would
like all that
because
has to be financially broken down.
we are going to get that because it has to go through Congress. You do realize that all of these trade deals, Congress has to sign off on it, right?
Yeah, thank you,
So,
judicial system.
yeah,
Which,
it's supposed to be that way though. But yeah,
yeah,
um,
but
regardless though. I really would like to see the actual details of this Vietnam trade deal once it actually comes out, if it hasn't already come out
yeah,
already.
I do think that the framework is a very interesting, right? It paints a very interesting picture, and the markets now are pricing this in. They are basically saying China is not going to get the skirt. Everyone was saying China's going to get the skirt these tariffs. I'm like, you're dealing with Mr. 4D chest. You
Well, I want to go that far, but
okay? You're dealing
sure,
with
you're
Scott
dealing
Bessent.
with
The guy's
somebody who.
no. I mean not Trump 4D chess. Scott Bessett's
Oh,
freaking smart. Scott
okay,
Bassett
fair enough.
is. Come on, you came up with the term. Well, the only nothing more transitory for inflation than tariffs. I'm like, you pulled a gold nugget out of your butt with that one. And you're the guy that's negotiating all these trade deals and basically told Japan to go screw off because they pissed him off. And he's about to tell the European Union to, you know what, with yourself. And they're already
Like
talking
that.
about, and I think the EU folded already a little bit by allowing American beef to be imported into Europe, which for decades has not been the
That has
case.
never been a thing.
Hey,
Yep.
guess what, Europe? Your beef sucks.
Well,
Every
oh, well,
time I go to Europe,
isn't it
beef
really?
sucks. Pork,
Isn't it like
sure.
mad cow disease over there or something?
It's not about mad cow disease. They don't believe in like the so in America like beef cows, they're a special
Hmm.
breed that are
Hmm.
basically bred. They don't believe in that. They have like the standard like milk
Yeah,
cows
but
that they
but at the same time, when it comes to like hormones and when it comes to like all that other stuff, I guess it's a little bit healthier. I mean,
okay,
grass-fed
fair,
cows are a lot
fair, but
healthier
it's
than.
like if I want when I go over there, I want my beef. Like pork and
I
chicken,
guess.
great. But I'm like, I want my steak, right? Go to Europe and have a steak, and then come back to me and tell me it's good. It's absolutely the most like rubberish thing in the world. Anyone that's going to argue with me, throw it in the comment section below. I will argue with you to the day I die. But
Never been to Europe, so I wouldn't know.
in other news, we were talking about EU and all this stuff. They're basically threatening a 70% tariff on food exports from Europe.
Oh, the
So
U.S. threatens. U.S. threatens. Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Yes. You know, you poke the bear. You got to poke the bear, Macron and all them. But again, it's Europe is being very difficult to negotiate with. Bessa said the negotiations broke down and they're continuing into the weekend.
You know what I love about this? Europe thinks that they're the big boys when it comes to this, and I'm just like, oh my goodness, no, we won't get your fancy cheeses and your fancy wines. Oh heavens me, how will we ever survive? I forgot that we supply the world with majority of the food, including Europe.
Yeah, I love how everyone again I argued with family when I was over there in May. I'm like, America feeds like 80% of the world. And they're like, no, no, no.
Yeah,
I'm like, no. By not necessarily directly, right? But if we export the stuff that feeds all the animals and those animals feed you,
right,
we feed you by
right,
proxy.
right, right. By secondary or tertiary means,
Yeah.
absolutely, yeah.
But I don't know if you heard about this, and I covered it in yesterday's video. QE's back in town.
Ooh.
The Fed had to rescue the banks this last weekend.
Oh, I did see this past weekend, right? I
Yeah.
did see that. I don't know if this has anything to do with it, but I did see that a bunch of the banks passed the stress test, and Bank of America, J.P. Morgan, Citi all increased dividends because of the stress test passing of
So
from the
yes
Fed.
and no. There's a reason why they're increasing dividends.
Okay,
They know the banks are going to be deregulated now because they are at a point where they're
right.
bleeding so much money by this. This is the proof, right? Everyone can say we can speculate. If the
This
banks
is
have to
the
go,
repo.
this is
This is
not
the
reverse
reverse
repo.
repo.
This is the temporary open market operations.
Okay.
So I'm not even going to tell you the acronym because it's longer than I can pronounce. But anyway, basically, this is the oh shit moment in the banking sector. This was also used during a very, very famous time. I'll let you guess what that time was. When no bank trusted anybody whatsoever.
2007, 2008.
2020.
Oh. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, during
Sorry.
that time. But anyway, it was also used in the dot-com bubble, right? So if we go to Max, we can see during the dot-com bubble, the popping of the bubble into 2008, where the birth of QE, the birth of intervention, and post 2008 it was basically not used at all, right? This
Right.
they used, there was the 2016 scare, right? The 2017 where no one trusted, that was kind of reverse repo. This is the other facility that's been around for the dawn of time. That's like, think of reverse repo as the calm cool collective version of this, and this is the hit the panic button version of this. But to
Okay.
summarize for all those that don't know what this is, basically this is the Fed going to banks and giving them money. They're giving them money because the banks don't trust each other, they don't have any money, and they can't operate because Bill doesn't want to give to Jim. Jim doesn't trust Bill. Sally doesn't trust any of them, so they're not going to lend, right? So all these banks are basically JP Morgan. They're all doing this, trying to blame one another for everyone else's problems, and the Fed has to step in and act. Why is this? Because no financial institution can basically go from having a paper loss of, let's say, 5% to having a paper loss of 55% in the course of
Right.
1 year, and then hold that said loss for such a long period of time. We saw 2008 what happened, right? They were holding paper losses for 2-3 years. What started 2-3 years ago? The tightening cycle, right? And this is how the Fed starts quantitative easing. What we can prove in the next meeting is that they stop selling their balance sheet, right? The Fed's been talking, job-owning, about how they're going to continue selling the balance sheet. I call absolute bullcrap on that, because this thing right over here is showing the signs that they are at the point where they cannot run their balance sheet off. And it doesn't even help that Donald Trump basically threw a gigantic landmine over the boat to the Fed, because do you know what we're going to be doing the rest of this year? Because Mr. Powell is very, very stubborn.
What?
Nothing longer than 1-year treasuries. So
What do you mean?
No more 20-year auction, no more 30-year auction, or if they
Wait,
occur,
what?
if they occur, they're going to be very small. Remember, the Treasury controls how big these auctions are. So they have to, they're going to create the 20 and the 30 and all that for all these other governments, so they can swap lines and all this can stay intact. But they're going to minimize the total assets that are sold, right? So if they have a 20-year auction, and let's say it was like 500 billion going to be sold, they could do a $5 billion auction where people basically are like, here's some money, right? Whoever needs a 20-year to do collateralizations, to do that, whoever needs to participate, they'll fund. But they're not going to fund all this debt. Nearly 40% of the U.S. debt is coming due this year. They're basically going to kick the can down the road for 1 year, because what happens in 1 year? Goodbye, Mr. Powell.
Goodbye,
Hello,
Powell. Yep.
Hello, loyal
Hello,
Fed.
Bessent.
Probably, right? Bessent or someone,
That would be nuts.
or someone very very loyal, right? There's a lot of names basically being floated around, and you're gonna have to sign the deal with the devil. You're basically gonna have to say 2%, 1% federal funds rate. That's gonna be the deal.
That would be
the
that
deal.
would be nuts.
Well, he said he
Yeah.
wants a 1 to 2% interest on the debt that the U.S. government pays, aka 20, 30, and 4. I mean, sorry, 10, 20, and 30. All being 3 basis points lower, or 3 to 4 basis points lower than we are now, which means 400 bips of cuts. And essentially, that means a federal funds rate of 0.5 to 1%. That means 3% mortgage. That means housing market goes crazy. And
People,
all the stuff.
Well, right. And that's the thing, too. It's like people will hear that and then they're like, oh, my goodness, this is going to cause so much inflation. In the short term, yes. But really, there shouldn't be a federal funds rate to begin with. Let the markets figure that out.
Yeah.
Right? You know, if banks, think about this. If banks knew that there's no one coming to the rescue, there's no one going to do QT, there's no one going to do, QE, there's no one going to bail them out in any capacity, we're not going to get inflation. We might get inflation in the short term. We might see everything skyrocket in the short term, but eventually things should just go back to normal.
Yep.
In fact, we might even see deflation for all that matter.
Yeah, and it's also like when you have this right over here, 37 trillion.
Yeah.
There's two choices: ignore it or pay it back.
Yeah, I actually got a text from somebody. I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago. A coworker. She was just like, "So my husband just told me that we're going to get a stimulus check of $5,000." I'm like, "No." I'm like, "No." Where'd you hear that? It's just like, "Oh, I heard that." I was just like, "No."
Yeah,
that was talks like months ago about maybe the Doge clock thing, like
this is
Doge
what we call a freaking Ponzi scheme.
I wouldn't necessarily call it a Ponzi scheme, but
it's a joke. It's a joke, is what it is.
Yeah,
in the sense, like the payment, right? Not the Doge savings. I don't want people to get all out of whack about that, right? The payments are, and
well, I would actually argue the payments as well as just the Doge cuts in general, because it's like, what has happened?
You're promised 2 trillion, and you're barely at 500 billion, and it's not even.
Well, look. I'm willing to take anything, right?
Oh
I'm
no,
willing to
I
take
give you
anything at this
that.
point. But the fact that the cuts haven't happened, or at least officially, right? The cuts haven't happened officially. Um, that right there is just putting like a sour taste in my mouth. Now, in regards to whether or not we should get the stimulus or whatever, I would say no to that. Revert that money back into, add that money as a negative, or I guess as a positive, seeing that debt is negative, but add that money back as a positive into the deficit.
Yeah.
Make sense?
And lower the deficit, right? Take that money and get
Increase the deficit.
Yeah.
Increase the deficit, as in like get it closer to zero.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a
Take
deficit.
the
You
yeah,
would
yeah, yeah.
increase it to make
Yeah,
it closer to
yeah.
zero. Yes,
But
make it go positive.
I do want to talk about the fun elephant in the room.
It's more like a unicorn.
I said elephant because Republican Party, but just that one over your head. But
Sure, fine.
but
It
does
did
it
go over my
really?
head.
So let's just summarize this. Does it actually do anything? Absolutely
No,
not. It
no.
does. It does basically. Here's the 10-second version
Actually,
of it.
no, wait, no. It does do one thing.
Okay.
It makes for great clickbait headlines.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
We are guilty.
Yes.
Guilty as charged.
Yes.
But again, SALT deduction, again, I completely disagree with this because SALT deduction should not exist. If you live in a high tax state, you should be taxed out of oblivion so that you fix your political views.
Mm-hmm.
That's my opinion. Sorry, I lived in New York and New Jersey. Cry me a damn river. We both. So cry me a river when you're paying $20,000 on a freaking property tax for a house that's like yay big. No, just you vote differently. Anyway, largest tax cut in American history, yeah, because you inflated the currency 40%, so no crap, the number is going to be bigger. Duh. Well, I do agree with the no tax on tips, but the way it's framed, the no tax on tips and overtime is not how people originally thought.
Well, the whole thing is exactly not how anybody thought, because this is a tweet from Scott Pressler, and he actually got community noted, and the community note like literally links like three things, like three references. The community note basically says, the quote, one big beautiful bill doesn't fully eliminate taxes on tips, overtime, or Social Security. It offers a temporary limited deduction, such as a $25,000 cap on tips and a $12,500 cap on overtime. Temporary limited deduction, meaning that you get to deduct those tips from your taxes. It's not that you don't pay them. It's
you
that
still have to report it to the IRS.
You still have to report it to the IRS. And temporary deductions for Social Security up to $6,000. And to make matters worse, everything's expiring in 2028.
Yeah.
You know what this reminds me of? Yeah. You know what this reminds me of?
The previous tax cuts?
Literally the exact same thing as the previous tax cuts, where it was going to expire
rope-a-dope
this year.
Yeah, it's a rope-a-dope. It's buying votes. It's what it is, right? Vote me in because this is going to expire and all this stuff.
They're basically saying, we'll give you the breadcrumbs. We're
taking the pie.
We'll give you the breadcrumbs and tell you that it's a full course meal.
No. It's we'll give you the breadcrumbs, but we're gonna have the pie. If we don't get the pie, you don't get the breadcrumbs.
No, it's them giving us the breadcrumbs and then telling us that we are getting a 5-star meal.
Yeah.
That's what that is. Because let's face it, even Scott Pressler, like, look at this. And I love Scott. He's great. He has done tremendous. But that's not what the bill does.
Yeah.
Right? This is not set in stone for forever. It's not something that it would require a 2/3 majority in order to remove. It'll end
require the same amount that
3 years.
Yeah. So
it'll end in 3 years. And not to mention that if the House gets lost or the Senate gets lost, if both get lost, if both get lost, then we're in a big issue. But if both the House and the Senate get lost in 2026, guess what? They could easily undo this.
Yeah.
Like that. It's just that this is the problem, and I'm just like, voting Republican at this point makes
they make it hard. They make it hard. They purposely make it hard. But then again,
it's just that they don't do anything.
Yeah, but it's a race. It's a race between two parties. And it's a little funny because you have like the Mondani thing in New York.
That's
I'm
horrible.
just like when as much as we criticize the Republicans about like trying to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory, I'm like the Democrats said hold my beer. You literally said hold my beer. Let me snatch Ronald Reagan's reelection from the next election.
Listen, let me tell you something. The worst thing that you could do is to underestimate your opponent.
Ability to
The
screw stuff
second,
up.
no, underestimate.
Yeah,
The
that's true.
second that you think you got this because your opponent made a mistake and now you think that you're good,
Yeah.
you will lose. You will lose. You will
So
instantly lose.
now, taking that question into how do you think markets will react
Uh,
to the bill?
look, look. What did I start this segment with?
It doesn't matter. It's nothing.
No, no. It does nothing except for makes great headlines.
Yeah.
That's it. Markets
Yeah.
is
And
gonna
markets
look at
like great
headlines.
headlines. Great headlines mean go buy shit.
The average person is gonna look at it and say, "Oh, this is great." Um, no, it actually it doesn't end taxes on tips, overtime, or Social Security. All it does is it makes you add. It allows you to put them as deductions.
Yeah.
That's it. Deductions, i.e., that you will get taxed on overtime, on tips, but at the end of the year, you get to claim those deductions and then add it back to your
All you're
tax
gonna all
returns.
you're gonna
That's
do
all that is.
all you're gonna do is when people get their tax return, they're gonna have more money to blow than saving it. So you
It's
won't.
actually worse. It's
Yeah, yeah.
actually worse because by the time you get your tax returns, your money would have already inflated,
Oh yeah, it's gonna be 12 months. You're gonna have to
further.
deal. You're gonna get devalued. That's a good point. You're gonna get
Yeah.
devalued 12 months of earnings.
It
And
always it always surprises me how every single time like every single tax season I'm just like, you want your tax to returns to be as close to zero as possible. What? Why would we want that? I'm like, do you not know what a tax return is? Like,
huh.
people just don't understand. You're
Well, they don't
giving the
understand inflation,
government.
so like
Well, it's just that you don't give it. It's just that they don't understand that they think that when they get their tax returns, is the government giving them money. It's not. It's you getting your own money back. Your money that you put in, you pay too much. You're getting it back with a 2%, ideally 2% inflation.
yeah.
Like, it's your own money. It's not like,
You get 98% of the money back that you were owed, right?
right. And it's like, yo, it's not. You want it to be as close as to zero as possible. And people just do not understand this concept. It's amazing. They just
Yeah.
don't.
Now, one thing that did come out this Friday, right, or Thursday, sorry, was the job numbers,
Which I
and
did not see.
it was meh.
Meh, meh. Yeah,
Let's
I
go
kind
through.
of figured markets didn't move on Thursday much.
Yeah, three. So
Actually, I think they
average,
did though. I think no, the Nasdaq gained like 1% on Thursday.
it gave it up on Friday. Literally everything it gained, it gave up on Friday.
Impossible because Friday is
Uh,
right. Well, we're recording this on Friday,
not not
and
not the current market futures. Futures were
ah,
completely red. They literally went like exactly what they went up, they exactly went back down.
all right.
So
Well, I'll take
it'll
your
fill
word
the
for that.
gap. It'll fill the gap on the S&P and Nasdaq. It'll be actually a good move. Again, I covered it in the video where it was like it's going to be a gap and go. Most likely new all-time highs. Bitcoin's probably going to break 110,000 this week, so it's going to be a great week. The video is going to rape every short imaginable that it can get its hands on. Even though that the U.S. is curbing chip exports to Malaysia and Thailand now.
And by the way, just to let everybody know and to let you know as well, good sir, it is now Q3. You know what that means?
Earnings season, JP Morgan coming up soon. I know.
Earnings
I
season.
know.
Yep,
I can't wait.
it
I
is
can't wait
earnings
for this
season.
one because I'm like, you took your foot off the tiger's neck. I want to see this tiger neck gouge some people's eyeballs out.
I'm very curious to see what Q2 numbers look like now in Q3. I'm very, very curious. So
Yeah.
this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be really, really good.
Oh yeah. This earnings season could be. We could create Santa Claus rally for the rest of the year.
Basically, yep.
But the job numbers, you see them here. 3.7 average hourly earnings, down from 3.8 previously, revised from 3.9. I believe, yeah, from 3.9. So people are earning less per hour. Powell probably happy about that. And then initial jobless claims came in lower than expected, which is also good. Non-farm payrolls
No.
came in slightly higher. Again, the expectation was extremely low. Everyone was kind of fearful going into this because of what was published Wednesday. Well, what
But
was
the
published?
problem was actually go back down, go back down, go back. Government payrolls.
Yeah,
Government
government
payrolls.
payrolls hit
That's a
73.
lot. That's a lot. Look at
Hold
what it was
on,
previous.
hold on. It includes the military.
You
So
say that. You say that, but
recruitment is up like crazy. Trump's been
I
touting it.
guess.
So it
What
falls
was
under
what was that? What was that green one? That 7,000 was that revised down?
revised
Down,
from
right?
negative. So the payrolls were revised from negative 1K to positive 7K last month again. This is mainly going to be the recruitment payrolls going up. It's also how they calculate the layoffs that were
Mhm.
paused, not repaused, paused, repaused, not repaused, right? Like all the stuff that's there. So this number is
Right.
very, very skewed. But you know what number is even more skewed that was putting fear into everybody that we've talked
What?
about extensively? How's the shit show of the century? ADP non-farm payrolls.
Negative 33,000.
This is the one that started it all being the crapshoot, and everyone believed it, right? So like they don't believe it, they don't believe it, they don't believe it, they don't believe it. They see negative 33 instead of saying, "Oh, you're absolutely crazy," and the number makes no sense. Case and frickin' point, right over here.
Now,
And
imagine if next month in August, July gets revised.
oh, like negative or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it was around this time that we got the negative 1 million revision last year. So,
Not July, June. Sorry,
yeah,
June. June gets revised.
yeah, maybe, who knows? But like that's like speculating like that this previous number up here was going to be true, right? That's speculating negative 3.7 80 the Atlanta Fed GDP, aka I call
Right.
it the ADP GDP at this point because they can't make up their goddamn mind of what's
Yeah.
which way. It's like economy's crap, economy's good, economy's crap, economy's good. It's like
When is the next Atlanta, by the way?
it was this week.
Sorry, the official. I meant the
Oh,
official
official.
GDP.
Let's check next week. If it's not next week, it'll be the following because usually the third week. So just scrolling through, we have Atlanta Fed again, FOMC minutes, and no one's like
Yeah.
actually gonna care about what's. Who would have thought that FOMC minutes would be like meh? It's like
Whatever. Yeah.
apparently it's gonna be the following week after that. So
Okay.
that's
Okay. All right. All right. And I believe that next week is CPI day as well, if I'm not mistaken.
nope.
When is the next CPI
Week
day?
after that,
The week after that.
the
Okay.
14th. Remember, it's always around the
Okay.
14th, 13th.
Yeah, yeah.
So.
It's always the second week of the month. Yeah, it's the 15th actually. It's the 15th.
Yep, it's gonna be great.
To be specific.
Isn't
So
it also bank reporting week?
if I'm not mistaken, I maybe.
JP starts us off Tuesday the 15th.
Huh. All right.
So we're gonna get.
Can
We're
you
gonna,
say volatility?
wait. Hold
Can you
on.
say volatility? Yo, that IV on those options are gonna be nuts.
It wasn't bad enough that
Wait, JP Morgan's on a Tuesday?
It's not bad enough that JP Morgan went from like here to here.
Wait. Usually
Yes.
banks have statements on a Friday. Usually the
Yeah,
big
but
banks have statements on a Friday.
I guess they decided to change it up.
Uh, let me see
Usually,
that actually. That's 7:15. Wow. Okay, that's peculiar.
who
Usually
else?
that doesn't happen on a
Who
Friday.
else reports, right? So let's say JP Morgan.
It was Citi, JP Morgan, Bank of America, Wells Fargo.
Bank of
Those are
America is
the
the
big
next
four.
day.
Bank of America usually sometimes
Citi.
they ship it off to another day, but I know for a
Yeah,
fact
but they're
those
gonna be
three,
back to
JP
back.
Morgan.
They're gonna be
Yeah, but
back.
JP Morgan, Citi, and Wells Fargo always do it on the same day.
No, all
Every
the
single
banks are
time.
going to be together now. So you know how it was Friday and then like Tuesday of a report? Now they're Tuesday,
Yeah.
Wednesday. So all the banks are going to report in 2 consecutive days. And then we
Peculiar.
kick off, I believe, Netflix's earnings the following, the 2 days later. So we're going to have banks, Netflix.
Banks, Netflix. Oh my goodness.
Can you
Okay.
scream can the Bears scream bloody murder now? Because I'm like, if this is all you could do with no catalyst,
Now
I
you
don't
have the BBB there, the big beautiful bill. Again,
insert
even though it doesn't do anything,
whatever narrative you want to insert. But I'm like,
basically.
when's Meta report? Meta is the end of the month. Which one's
Yeah.
quicker? Goog? No. Goog's another
Uh,
one.
I think the only one that reports now would be. Oh, by the way, did you see Meta's revisions?
No.
Bruh.
In a good
Go
way
to
or a
Seeking
bad
Alpha.
way?
Go to Seeking Alpha right now and go to earnings. Go to earnings for Meta. Oh my goodness. That is ridiculous. That is
am I gonna
ridiculous.
be in a good again, I own Meta, guys, so
Uh-huh.
like okay, hold on. Let me put this up. So half the population's on crack.
50-50.
No, it's not gonna be 50-50. If you're this one right here, this 20% down, you're on crack. When you get off, take your 20, put it on this side, make it 40.
Did you look at
When,
Netflix?
wait. When was
Did you
it?
look at Netflix? Look
Oh,
at
no, no, no.
Netflix.
But when was it this many?
I don't know.
I've never
But
seen it's usually 20 be the total. It's never 20-20.
look at Netflix. Did you see Netflix?
Hold on, we're getting there. Okay, yeah, that's reasonable. That I'm
Oh, good
expecting from
lord.
Netflix.
Yeah.
Let's do the end bans for everyone here. Let's just run through the earnings expectations for banks. You're all on
Wow.
crack.
Wow.
Bank deregulation is going to come, and you think J.P. Morgan's going to go down?
Yeah, that's you didn't click it. There you go.
Yeah.
Let's see.
But
wow. Okay.
Okay, so I guess I need to go buy calls now. This is
Hey,
like
you want to keep going? Go to okay, fine. Do
we're
Wells
gonna
Fargo,
go
but
through
then
all of them.
do a ironically enough that one I believe, but no, do a
No,
do Goog.
they've been killing it recently.
They have been killing everything. Do Goog.
Goog.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's see what these numbnuts are. Yeah, you're all gonna lose money. All the
My
pairs
goodness.
I'm like, wait. Let's do okay.
Are
If
we
you
setting
hold on.
up for a massive Santa Claus rally in July?
Let's
Christmas in July,
okay.
baby. Here we go.
If this is red in any way, shape, or form, I quit.
Christmas in July. I sold it at 141. Could you imagine if I would have
I quit. I quit, dude.
330?
I quit. I need to go sell a kidney and buy more of this because you all have all.
330.
Hold on. No. I have a bone to pick
I was gonna
now.
say AVGO, but sure.
No, we're gonna go through all of them. I'm gonna go through Crazy Town. You have all lost your minds.
AVGO.
If this thing hasn't,
Okay, so
you have all lost your minds. You have all lost your minds.
So here, okay, well, here's the silver lining in the case all of those numbers actually come in. Yeah.
If you
all
mean
of,
when okay, SMCI meme stock 0 and 11.
Well, what I mean is if those numbers actually end up being that, yes, we do have like all of these companies go red. You know what that means, right?
If this is green, I'm gonna flip a table. Okay,
No.
this number makes sense. You got one right.
A lot of
You got
do
one
MSFT.
right.
Do MSFT.
I did. Microsoft.
How could you forget
was,
You did not do Microsoft.
I did not. Oh, okay.
No, you did not. You did Goog.
Okay, they got two right. They got two.
They got two right. Yeah.
Yeah, but
23-8. That's very one-sided, dude. Come on.
Hold on, BRK. If you are betting against Buffett, let's see if these dum-dums are betting.
Do A. You did BRK.B. Do BRK.A. Yeah, do BRK. Is there no BRK.A?
Or is it just BRK?
No, right there.
Oh, there.
It's the bottom one. Yeah,
I don't know
yeah.
why I didn't pull up.
There you go. No, it's the same. Wow. Okay.
Okay.
I like how there's only one though.
Hold on. If they value this company more after missing deliveries, I'm gonna. Okay. They got three right. You got three right. That was. I'm just like, there's gonna be. Hold on. There's one more we forgot. There's one more that we forgot.
Oh goodness.
Okay, they're gonna get gangbustered.
Well, man, UNH is it's an interesting one right now.
No,
but if all of those numbers,
just to settle this argument, when you fall this hard, you have a V-shaped move. So basically, the question is, how many shares can you accumulate before this drop dead date right over here? Because there's no way a company falls before earnings 53%, and everyone's
was-
basically saying no, it's not valued, right? It's like magically this company's not going to make money. Magically, Nvidia is not going to continue to basically take your faces off. It's
if
my
all
brain.
of these numbers end up being true and we do get a downturn in Nvidia or AVG or all that stuff, remember what happened last time we saw that? Remember what happened last time we saw Nvidia sub 100? Yeah.
Yeah, you're not getting
I'm
sub
not.
120. You're not getting sub 120. You're not getting sub
I am.
140 on Nvidia ever again.
If we ever get that again, I'm not buying 10 shares of Nvidia. I'm putting a 0 at the end of that 10.
Yeah, but
Because
other news, Amazon 4 to 30. You have all lost your goddamn minds thinking this is gonna be the future. Like,
and that's all at the end of the month too.
I can't wait to make so much money on these. Like, literally, let's see meme stock.
Palantir's not a meme stock.
It's
Palantir's
not,
not a
but
meme stock.
I like saying
it's
it's a
not.
meme.
It's not anymore. It's not anymore. No, Palantir's not a meme stock
But
anymore.
it's like-
Palantir.
Yeah, they're great. Right?
Palantir was-
They're but
Yeah,
again,
they're good.
it's like you guys say companies that run 73% in the year have this evaluation, but yet the mega cap stocks don't. It's like it's because you want to buy them at really cheap.
One more.
All right.
HOOD.
Oh, Robinhood?
Yeah.
I'm scared. I don't follow it enough to give you an opinion.
It hit 100 a few days ago.
Oh, like $100 per share?
Yeah. Yes, it did. It did.
How is it?
Can you not find it? Yeah. Hood. HOOD. Can you not find it?
Nope.
Why is it not in your? Wow.
Could be over the counter.
Don't think
Oh,
so.
I did R.
Like-
R, Robinhood. Oopsie.
Goodness.
Yeah. This one, I don't
It did.
like.
It did hit 100.
I don't like the company just from a personal
Yeah.
thing, but my
That
opinion.
is a cup and handle, though, isn't it? It did do it.
More like
It's a cup and handle.
more like inverse.
I also see a W right there as well.
Almost more inverse head and shoulders versus.
I mean, if you zoom in, it's more like a W formation as well.
Yeah, I give you that one.
Yeah, right there. Doom, doom, doom. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a W.
Yeah, I get. that.
I've picked up a few things. I picked up a
but
few things.
again, it's like everything. Everyone's like, "Oh, it went parabolic." Look at Amazon 2014. That's all I'm gonna say. Again, it's gonna be very, very interesting this week with all the things going on. There's not a lot of data.
How did we end with the fear and greed?
Oh, you haven't seen it. Oh, okay.
I have
okay.
not.
Okay, you're gonna love this one. You're gonna love this one. We finally got it.
Extreme? Ooh.
How
You
long
got
do we
extreme
stay?
greed.
How long do we stay? Knowing what we know the expectations are for earnings.
Oh, we might get 90.
Sheesh, I'm gonna see we're gonna get 100.
I don't think so. But we might
Okay.
hit 90,
We'll
mid
hit-
90.
okay,
Hey,
I'll
I was
put-
right about the 2. I was
Okay.
right about the 2. I was right about the 3. So
Yeah,
I'm saying
so
we're gonna
meaning
hit probably
97.
90.
97, 98.
That's fine. That's fine. That's
Yeah,
fine. But we're not
balance
gonna hit
that.
100.
But anyway, guys, throw down in the comment section what you guys thought, what you're excited for the earnings, because my God, it's gonna be a bloodfest. We're gonna be streaming most of it, most likely for all those earnings. It's gonna be a jam-packed one, the 15th of July. So again, that's gonna be Banks, Netflix. So triple day streams going
And CPI and inflation.
Oh yeah, like
Don't
let's
forget
just
inflation.
well, no one cares about inflation because Powell's gonna get neutered this week for everything.
That's
and,
fair.
And then it becomes the companies, and then melt up. Here we come. So get ready for a crazy Santa Claus rally that's gonna last 6 months apparently for the rest of this year, making 2023 to 2024 look like a pipsqueak rally. So throw in the comment section what you're excited for. Make sure you guys check out the latest 2 videos over here, along with the Discord over here linked on the top left. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.